Hi everybody, I'm Jen and I'm back with another Books and Looks video. Today I am going to be talking about a Christmas book that I read like 2 months ago and I no longer have in my possession. So yeah, sorry about that. I don't have it here to show you, but here, I'll post it right here. That is the book that I read. It's called Christmas Past and I don't remember the author's name, so obviously you'll see it there, but I'll also add it up here. If you are new here, again, my name is Jen, and I do get ready with me videos because I really enjoy playing with makeup, but I also talk about books that I have recently read and talk about what they're about. I give my personal opinion and review of it, and it's a good time. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the video. If you are returning and you've watched some of my other videos, thank you so much. I very much appreciate you. Like the video. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. Add some comments below of your opinion of the book, of my makeup look, of any suggestions of things that I should read or do. I really do look at my comments and I try to respond to everybody, so please do so. So I guess we'll just go ahead and begin. Let me get my hair out of my face for this. Yeah, so I read this Christmas book called Christmas Past. It was it was a Hallmark movie of a book. Like I 100% could see this. It might actually even be a Hallmark movie, but let me tell you about it and you tell me if you agree. So, it is about this little family. There's the mom, the dad, and then they have two kids. And the mom and the dad both have like high profile jobs. The dad they live in Tennessee and he's like a music exec or like a talent scout. And like he makes a ton of money. The wife, local morning show, and she makes a ton of money. So they're like really wealthy, but they also work a lot. He travels a lot. She's, you know, gone a lot for her work or whatever in long days. And their marriage is not the strongest. Like they don't spend much time together because of their work, etc., etc. And they just aren't as close anymore. Like it's not a bad marriage, but they're not like, happy per se. Well, strangely enough, they both um workplaces, they both find this random pamphlet. By the way, it's almost Christmas time. It's like a week before Christmas. And they randomly find this pamphlet for a bed and breakfast in, I don't know, somewhere nearby, somewhere that they can drive to. And it's called Christmas Past. And it's like, visit the times of old where life was simpler and, disconnect and spend an old-fashioned family Christmas past. Well, neither of them think much of it, but then he goes home and the wife is like, we need to talk. I'm not happy. We don't even have a marriage. We barely see each other. I think we should do a trial separation with the intention of divorce, soon. And he's like, that's not what I want, but I don't want to force you to like stay in this marriage if you're unhappy. I still love you. I don't want to do this, but we can try this if that's what you feel, blah, 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 blah. So they decide to do this. It's not until after Christmas. As a matter of fact, I would like to give them like one last memorable family Christmas before we break the news that this is the direction we're headed. And then they're like, well, I saw this pamphlet. Maybe we could do like this little family vacation and go to this place and this Christmas past place and like have a nice, just the four of us, family Christmas at this bed and breakfast. So they decide that's what they're going to do. So they call and like nobody answers, so they leave a message. They're like, we're so-and-so and we're so-and-so. We'd like to reserve 2 rooms for us to stay there, blah, blah, blah. They don't even get a call back or anything, but they just go. Because the pamphlet even says like, please call, leave a message. We'll make it work. By the way, here's my new coffee mug. Pour me a cup. It's fun, isn't it? Okay, so they go to this place and they're driving there and they're like literally on all these back roads. They're thinking they're lost. They don't know. And then suddenly they lose service because they're like in the middle of nowhere. They lose service. They start to kind of fret because nobody has internet. Their GPS is no longer working. all this, like nothing's working. So, but they're like, whatever, we're just gonna keep following this road. We know sort of like the directions of where we need to head. So we should get there soon. We should be pretty close. Well, then all of a sudden their car dies, and they're like, oh crap, we don't have cell service. Um, our car is dead. What are we gonna do? So they are starting to sort of panic, but also like they have two kids in the car, so they're like trying to hold it together. Well, then suddenly around the corner comes this horse and buggy with these two people in period clothing from like, the Victorian era. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I'm picturing. And they're like, oh, hello. Can we help you? And they're like, yeah, have some sort of issues. We don't, we're unable to reach out to anybody. We're trying to get to the Christmas Past house. And the guy's like, oh my gosh, we're going to the same place. We are also going to the Christmas Past house. Come with us. So they load up their luggage. They get in this buggy a horse and buggy, and they make it to the house. And this house is like this big, beautiful Victorian mansion in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful. It's all decked out for Christmas. It's just fantastic. And then again, these two people in period clothing pop out the front door, and they're like, well, I'm so glad to see you. We've been expecting you. They come in, they get settled, but like everything is old timey. Like there's no phone, there's no electricity. The plumbing is like from however many years ago. Actually, I think I have to go outside to go to the toilet, to like the outhouse. And so you have the two people who own the house, the husband and the wife, and then they have a son and a daughter, I think. Yeah, I think a son, or maybe just a son, and then the other couple that gave them a ride also had some children there. And so there's like, a couple of adults and several children. And they're all like, let's all get settled in for the night. It's late. And like all the kids are sleeping on like, pillows and blankets all strewn around the living room floor. So they're like all excited. Like, this is going to be so cool. It's like a big slumber party. Yay. And then the parents go upstairs to the bedroom, and they're like, they don't want to sleep in the same bed anymore. Option. So they end up sleeping together in the same bed, and it's awkward, but they're like, whatever, we'll do what we have to do. They don't talk much because they're exhausted, and it's like, this is weird, but okay. So the next day they all get up and they have like this big breakfast, and again, like everything is so old-timey. The old food, the old plates, like literally everything. And then they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do today. We are going to go get some mistletoe it's Christmas Eve. We're going to get some mistletoe for our Christmas party tonight. We also have to go out and like find a goose for dinner. So all the men go out. Our goal is to hunt a goose for dinner tonight that the wives are going to cook. The children just hang out and play, and the wives are like prepping food and like putting up more Christmas decorations. It's lovely. And so they're just doing this thing, and then the guys are out and they get a goose. Actually, I think they get like 2 geese. And then they find some mistletoe, and they bring down mistletoe, and it's like, oh, fine, yeah. But in the meantime, they keep asking questions like, oh, how did you get this house together? And like, does it take a lot to get used to living like this? And they're all just like, well, my father built this house, and then, when he passed away, it became mine, and, like, I guess it's used to living here. I mean, I do. So of course we're used to it. And the main characters think like, wow, these guys are really good actors. Like they're committed to the role of being in, old-timey whatever. So, I mean, it's pretty clear that they've like gone back in time. Like as the reader, you're like, yeah, they went back in time. They're in this like weird time warp thingy. But they don't get it. They're just like, oh, this is actors. It's a thing. It's a theme. Very cool. So later that day, they get home. They're cooking, they're doing, and the kids decide to go outside and go sled riding, and the adults are just sitting around talking and just chatting. I don't know, like what people do. And then the kids start screaming from outside. And by the way, I'm going to finish this story way early before I do my makeup because there's not a lot involved in this story. I'm going to do some like cranberry vibes today to match my sweater. And also it's a Christmas book. So we're going to have like Christmassy vibes. Okay. So anyway, the kids are screaming outside and all the adults are like, oh my gosh, what's happening? They run out and the owners, names. Like I don't know any of the characters' names. I read this book 2 months ago. Like, come on. I don't know any of their names. But the owner's son, I think it was the owner's son. It might have been the other couple's son. I'm not 100% sure whose kid it was, but the boy fell in the lake while they were sled riding, or he was like playing or something, and he fell in, not the lake, yeah, the lake. He fell in the lake, okay? And everybody's like, oh my gosh, like he's not breathing. Everybody's freaking. Well, because our main characters are from present day, they know CPR. So they're like, let me take care of this. You call the doctor, or like go get the doctor because there's no phones. So the dad does CPR on the kid, rescues him. They get him breathing again. He coughs up some water. He's pretty much okay. Like he's obviously like cold and a little bit hurt, but he's okay. He's breathing. It wasn't very long, so there's no like issues. He goes and rests and for like a couple of hours, and then by that night, like he's pretty much totally okay, other than like trauma. So they're like, oh my gosh, we are so grateful to you. You saved our son. And, it's wonderful. So then they go to bed and it's Christmas Eve. So tomorrow morning and then the second night, the husband and wife are like less awkward and they're like, that was wonderful. I'm so proud of you. Like you did such an amazing job, blah, blah, blah. And what do I want to do with my eyes? Okay, I got an idea. And so they decide to snuggle. So they may have sex. I don't remember, but they were intimate to some degree, whether it was just like a snuggly intimacy, which was a lot more than they had done in a very long time, because they like never see each other and like he's always traveling, so like even together same and like snuggling was a big deal, but they may have actually had sex. I don't really recall. I think so actually. And like not in the book, but they started kissing and blah 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 blah, and then chapter ended. So now the next morning they wake up and it's Christmas morning and they're like, that was wonderful. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry if I overstepped my bounds, or like, I know we're not in a good place. I hope that was okay. And they're like, oh, that was lovely. It was so sweet. And it was very nice to connect with, but it was lovely. Everybody's happy. Well, then they come downstairs and the children have already been up for a while, and they've gotten their presents, and all the presents are like handmade toys. One of them gets like a little game with wooden pieces, like not like a chess set, but something where it's like little pieces that are carved from wood. The boy got a little game, the son. And then the daughter got a doll that was handmade and sewn by the owner wife made it. Oh, and also the owner man made the wooden toy. He's like, these are gifts. And then the mom and the dad, the two main characters, are like, oh, let us give you some money for this. Because all the stuff that they bought for their kids were electronics. None of them would work, obviously, because they don't have any electricity there. There's no way to charge, etc. And also, as we as the reader know, they're in a time warp, so there's no like internet. So, but the kids don't have any interest in that at all. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest toy. And oh my gosh, I love this doll so much. She's like, I'm going to name my doll Sally. I love her. She's beautiful. So the kids are super excited to have like traditional toys. And then I don't think the parents got gifts. It was just the kids. And so that's not the one I want. That's the one I want. Okay. So the kids spend Christmas Day playing with their new toys. Like the other children got toys, so they're just all playing. They have like a big meal. Oh, and I forgot, they did decorate the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve. Like the whole family. That was one thing. One other thing they did the evening before they went to bed. They decorated the Christmas tree. So yeah, they have their Christmas Day and it's wonderful and it's lovely, and they literally just sit around and play and talk, and they read the Christmas story from the Bible. And there was also some major undertones of religion. Like it's obviously there were Christian themes to it. So there are multiple times throughout the whole story where they were talking about like Jesus and the real meaning of Christmas and love and joy and peace and all of that comes with Christmas. It kept coming up. And so now it's Christmas Day. They unwrap their presents. They're playing. They're all wonderful, drinking cocoa and reading the Christmas story from scripture. And they asked the wife, I'm pretty sure, to read a chunk of scripture, and she was like really nervous about it at first. And but she did, and then when she was reading it, she like felt all this warmth and joy and love overflow her. And later that day, she pulls her husband aside and is like, listen, can we talk? And he was like, well, of course. And then she basically says, like, I don't know if this is what I want. Like, I don't know if this whole idea of separation and divorce is really what I want. I might want to like try again. Like, let's try to like make some changes, because like we never see each other. Like, we used to go to church all the time and now we don't. And I'm realizing how much I miss that, and having that time together as a family to go to church together, and reserving that time at least once a week to be together. And she's like, I think that's really important. And he's like, 100%, I support that. I grew up in the church. I miss going to church. I hate that our busy schedules and our work schedules. And she's like, yeah, but it's mostly you, because you're always traveling. Like, I have a normal, not necessarily 9 to 5, but like she has a set schedule. She doesn't have to go places on weekends and be out at all hours of the night while scouting, for musicians. And he's like, you're 100% right. I'm going to cut back on that. He's like, I don't need to be doing as much as I'm doing. I'm going to change, and I'm going to change my priorities, and I'm going to work less and spend more time at home. And I love this idea of going back to church regularly. So they have a plan. So they basically reconcile on Christmas Day and decide, like, this, we're going to move forward with this, and we're going to change our ways, and we're going to try to work really hard to like replenish our marriage. So I think they actually left on Christmas Day, or maybe early the next morning. I don't remember exactly, but either way, shortly thereafter their reconciliation, it's time to go home. So like everybody leaves, well, except obviously the people who live there. And they so they leave, and the other couple up, they're like, we'll take you back to your vehicle. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I sure hope it's functioning again, right? Do I need some? No, I'm not going to do that, because we're almost done with the story. They're like, we sure hope our car is functioning. So they get the ride to the car, and they go to the car, and he does like the badoop unlock thingy to test it, and it all unlocks. Like, the lights turn on, the car doors unlock, the trunk opens up, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's working, yay. So they get in the car, and they're like, please start, please start, please start. Or they load up their suitcases, they get in the car, please start, and the car starts. And they're like, woohoo, we can go home. And then they go back, they look to like say goodbye to the people who gave them the ride in the horse and buggy, and they're gone. They're completely gone. So they're just like, well, we're in a hurry to get home, whatever. They don't think anything of it. And they're like, well, they were sure lovely people. That was awesome. And they were like, and then there was some reason that they wanted to go back. Oh, I think that was why. I think they're like, well, let's go back to the house, and then we can, like find our way back to the house, and we'll see them, and then we can tell them again, thank you so much for the ride, because they disappeared before they had a chance to give them, another thank you so much, like, you helped us, blah, blah, blah. So they head back to Christmas Past house. And when they get there, they're like, what? That's not the same house. It's like in shambles. Like, literally, it's been a half an hour since they left. And when they get back to the house, it's literally like run down. It looks like nobody has lived there. There's like broken window panes. It's all, the paint is all like, peely. And they're like, what? Like, we were just here a half hour ago. This is not what it looked like. It had Christmas decorations all over it. It was in beautiful shape. So they're like super freaked out. They're like, this must be like, they were really committed to this like Christmas Past thing. They did that real quick and turned it off. They're like, guys, come on. Obviously, it's a time travel, but whatever. They won't believe it. So they're just like, all right, let's just go home. And on the way home, they pass through this little town, like the very first town they come to. And they're like, hey, you know what? Let's stop at, like, there's the local library. Let's stop in the local library and see if we can find some information about this house. We know the address. We have their name. Let's see what we can do. So they go in. And they're like, hey, we would like to look at some history of the town. And the librarian takes them there. They start peeking through some books. And pretty quickly, they find a book about the Christmas Past house. And they're looking at pictures, and they see pictures of the house the way they remember it. And the two homeowners, the husband and the wife, who were like the hosts, were like standing on the porch in front of it in these pictures. And the pictures are dated like 150 years ago. And they're like, that's the house. Those are the people. dated 150 years ago. What the heck? And this is when they start realizing, like, we must have gone through a time warp. I don't understand. This is wild. Like, how did this happen? This is insane. But they're starting to realize what actually happened, right? So then, I forget how, but somehow she figures out that the boy that they saved with CPR who fell in the lake, I guess it was in one of the books, they found him as like and they looked at his name and they looked at his profession, and it was, hold on, I'm picking a lipstick. I have lipsticks. They look at him and they realize, I forget how they realize it, but they figure out that that boy is the wife, main character wife's great grandfather. I don't remember. So she's related to him, and like if they hadn't saved his life, she wouldn't exist because he would have died as a boy and not gotten married and had children and da 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 da. So she's like, oh my gosh, that was my grandmother's father or something like that. And they're just like totally freaked out over the whole thing. And they're just like, oh my gosh, this is what happened. This happened. Like we somehow went, my lipstick looks weird. We somehow went back in time and had this weird experience. I don't understand. Oh, and there was another little thing. The little dolly that their daughter got, right? The one that she named Sally and she just loved so much. Well, as they were leaving, she decided to leave it and give it to the other little girl because they decided they were best friends. Because they were like 7. So, you know, you can meet somebody within an hour. They're your best friend, right? So she's like, I want to leave Sally with my new best friend. I want her to have it. She's like, you know, I have all these other toys at home. I love Sally so much, but I want my new best friend to have her. So when they're in the library slash museum history area thing, the little girl's like, oh my gosh, look, it's Sally. And they go over and look at it, and it is, in fact, the doll that she got for Christmas that she named Sally and left to her best friend. And it says doll owned by like whatever so-and-so name. And it's the little girl's name that she's best friends with now. Doll named Sally, what belonged to girl named blah, 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 circa, 150 years ago. So like, oh my gosh, that is literally the doll you were playing with a couple of hours ago. How it's like, clearly it's old, it's like run down, it's got stains on it, it's, been played with and 100 years old. So there was like another piece of evidence that it was a time travel thing. And that was basically how it ended. Like they're happily ever after, they reconciled their marriage, they did this weird time thing, and now they're going to go back to church, and it's all good. That was how the story ended. And this is also the end of my makeup look. Actually, no, I totally lied. Should I put some sparkles on? Yes. The answer is always yes. I just got this new sparkly thing from ColourPop. Sister, if you are watching, this is the one that we just bought together. So, I'll put some sparkles. Look at this. Can you see that? Is that showing up? Amaze balls. Okay. So that was how the story ended. It was quite lovely. Oh, do you see that? That's amazing. Okay. That was how the story ends, and it was lovely. Like, it was fine. It was a tiny little book. I read it in like a weekend. It was lovely. It was slightly entertaining. It was a little, like I said, it was like a Hallmark movie. Like, you knew everything was going to work out just fine for these people, and that they were going to reconcile, and everybody was going to be happy, la, 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 la. And that's what happened. It was exactly as you would expect a happy Christmas story with a religious undertone to end. And it was nice. I liked it. It was like a good, happy ending, We like a good, happy ending right around Christmas time. So, yeah, I liked it. I would recommend it only to people who like those kinds of cheesy stories that with, predictable, light, nothing really traumatic happens other than the little boy, but he survived and it was all good. It was good. Out of 10, I don't know, it's hard because like it was well written, but it was really cliche, but I think that's what they were going for. I think the author was going for that. Like that was his intent. So I don't know, I think I might give it like an 8 out of 10, even though it's not really the type of plot plot line that I'm super interested in usually. Yeah, it was well written. So we'll give it an 8 out of 10. So that's the end. I'm digging these sparkles. I don't know how. Oh my gosh, do you see that? I feel like I need to touch up my eyeliner because the eyeliner is whatever. It's fine. Well, yeah, maybe I will. I was thinking the sparkles are like covering up the eyeliner, so I'm gonna touch it up. But anyway, yes, I digress. It was a good book. I highly recommend it. If you have read it or if you've read anything else about this author, let me know. It reminds me of like whatever. I'm getting beside myself. Let me just go ahead and finalize this video. If you've read this book, if you know anything else by this author, add some comments below about your experiences with it, if you liked it or any other titles that you liked of his. If you like my look today, the cranberry and sparkles, I like it. I like the lipstick. It's like a cranberry that kind of matches. I like it. So if you like it too, add some comments below. And also, I would love some ideas of different makeup looks because I pretty much do the same thing every time. Interesting makeup thing. Not too challenging because I'm not that skilled. But I'll give it a try. Why not? Give me some suggestions of things to try. And if it turns out to be a disaster, then, well, that's just more entertainment for you now, isn't it? So, yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are entertained and are interested in either the book or the look today. And I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful year, a wonderful everything. Stay beautiful, inside and out.